Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to do this really pretty baby blanket. You can make this any size that you like. The stitch count is 7 plus 5 because this blanket gets the side border done as you're working it. I've also got this little hat. So to avoid making the video too long, what I'll do is I can do the hat in a different video. It's the same stitch. It's a beautiful little hat. You can do this in any colour you want. So for this blanket and hat, I use this cutie pie, the King Cole cutie pie. This one is called Custard Pie. And the shade number is 5384. So for this blanket, I did 16 sets of 7 plus 5 extra stitches. I did 65 rows of patterning. I picked up the same amount of stitches on the top as the bottom, and I did 4 rows of UK treble crochet. If you're in the USA, that's the double crochets for you. And once again, the pattern is made up of UK treble and double crochets. And if you're in the USA, that's double and single crochets for you. So I'm going to show you how to do this beautiful stitch. It's really easy. And once again, one last tip. If you don't like stitch counts, do the chain to the length that you want it. Do the chain to the length that you want it and work the pattern, and you're going to finish on a V-stitch. You're going to finish on a V-stitch, skip 2 and do 5 stitches. So once you've done your last V-stitch, you need 5, 6, 7 stitches. You need 7 stitches at the end. That keeps your pattern symmetrical as well. So to do this pattern, I'm using a solid colour so you can see it better in the video. Now leave a long enough tail that if you lose your stitch count, you can make more stitches with the tail. So the stitch count is 7, then add an extra 5. Don't worry if it doesn't work out for you. You can take any stitches you've got extra, you can take them out. And if you don't have enough, you can add them in with this tail. Sometimes when you're working a pattern, you might accidentally skip 3 or skip 1 or skip whatever when you're doing the foundation row. So don't worry, because you can use that to make extra stitches. Now I'm going to do sets of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've done a few sets of 7. I'm only doing a small sample to show you how to do this. It's a really quick pattern. And I'm going to do an extra 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are to help keep the pattern symmetrical at each end. So into the 4th stitch from the hook, count 1, 2, 3 and 4. You're going to put 1 UK treble crochet. That's a double crochet if you're in the USA. So that chain of 3 counts as your first stitch. So we've got 1 and 2. Into the next stitch, you're going to put another one. We need 5 in the line. So we've got that chain counts as 1, 2, 3. One more is 4. And one more is 5. So we've got our 5 stitches. You're going to skip 2, 1, 2. Now into this stitch, we're going to do what's called a double V stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 1 treble crochet. This is a double crochet if you're in the USA. 1 and 1 more. Then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and put 2 more in there. So this is a double V stitch. 1 and 2. So it's like a V and a V, a double V stitch. You're going to skip 2, 1, 2. So into the next stitch, you're going to do a UK double crochet. That's a single if you're in the USA. We're going to make the little, it's called a picot or picot. I can't remember which way you pronounce it, but someone will tell me. So we're going to do I'm going to call it a chain stitch. So in skip 2, 1, 2, into the next one, put 1 double crochet or single, whatever country you're in, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Into the next stitch, do another double crochet or single, whatever country you're in. So that's you done that little chain there. So your pattern is made up of your V-stitch, skip 2, and then this chain stitch, skip 2, a V-stitch, skip 2, and that chain stitch, or picot, a little picot. So we're going to skip 2 and do a double V-stitch. 2 stitches into the same stitch, 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2, and 2 into the same stitch and do that double V-stitch. And what you can also do is leave a comment what you think about the colour of the video, the sound and the focus, because I've got myself a new camera. I'm using a different one altogether, and I was able to lock the focus on it, so it's not going to go up and down anymore. You can see that that stitch is squashing that a little bit. If your stitch count doesn't work, it could be because you maybe not count that one if it's too squashed. So make sure you pull your V-stitch over. So we're going to skip 2 and do the chain stitch. So skip 2, do a double crochet, 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, and a double crochet in the next stitch. These are single crochets if you're in the USA. Now we're going to finish on this V-stitch, and I've deliberately not done enough so that I can show you how to add stitches. So we're going to skip 2 and build a V-stitch in here. Now we need 7 stitches left at the end. We need to finish on a V-stitch and have 7 stitches left. But I've deliberately not put enough in so I can show you how to make more stitches if you don't have enough. So I've done my V-stitch. So what I should have is 7 stitches left. Skip 2 and then do my 5 singles for my border. I don't have enough. So what you can do is you finish your pattern on that V-stitch, and it should be skip 2 and then 5 singles. I don't have another 5 stitches, so I'm going to put my hook into my last stitch like this, and I'm going to crochet 5 more stitches. So don't count that one because that's your 1 and 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do one more just so that it'll lock my stitch in. So now I have enough to finish my pattern. So technically you don't need to count the stitches. Make a big long chain. Make sure you've got a tail on the end that you can create more stitches if you need to. So we're finishing this pattern on this double V-stitch. We're going to skip 2, 1 and 2. I'm going to do 5 treble crochets along. These are double crochets if you're in the USA. So that's 1 into the next one is 2. 1 into the next one is 3. I should have enough. 1 into the next one is 4. And 1 into the next one is 5. And that gives you your little pattern. Now this is just a sample. I'm just showing you a sample. You'll continue the pattern. You'll do your skip 2, a V-stitch, skip 2, then you'll do that chain stitch, skip 2, V-stitch, skip 2, chain stitch, skip 2, V-stitch, skip 2, chain stitch, and then skip 2 and finish on a V-stitch. Skip 2 and do 5 singles along. Now the pattern is really easy from here. It's really easy. Chain 2, quite slack. 1, pull it up a little bit, and 2. And turn your work around. So that chain 2 counts as your first stitch, and I've done 2 chain that's slack so that you don't end up with big bobbles at the end. You don't end up with a bulge. So that's why it's only chain 2. Make sure you chain 2 slack. So into the next 4 stitches we're going to put 1 stitch into the next 4. 1 into the next one, 1 into the next one, and 1 into that last one. We should have 5 along. So we've got that chain 2, that's 1 stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you'll always have 5 on this end and 5 on the other end, and that makes the border up the sides of the blanket. It makes the border up the side, so you don't need to work a border. It's already there. Now you're going to skip 2, 1 and 2, and in to the middle of your V-stitch. You're going to skip 2 stitches, and in to the middle here you're going to do 1 double crochet or single if you're in the USA, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and in to there again. You're going to do your chain stitch inside the middle of the V-stitch, and you're going to do your V-stitches in this chain. So skip 2 stitches and in to the chain, build your V-stitch. So that's 1 and 2, chain 2, 1, 2, and 1 and 2. So we've done our double V-stitch. Move over to this one and you're going to put the chain stitch in. So 1 double or single crochet, whatever country you're in, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1 into there again. Move to your little chain stitch here, your little picot chain stitch here. You're going to do your V-stitch. So that's 1 and 2, chain 2, 1, 2, and 2 more stitches, 1 and 2. Move to this one and you're going to do the little chain stitch in the top of this one. Double crochet, 3 chain, and double crochet. And they're singles if you're in the USA. So over to your chain and you're going to put your double V-stitch in. So that's 1 and 2, chain 2, 1, 2, and 2 more, 1 and 2. Over to the V-stitch, you're going to put your little chain, 1, 2, 3, or the picot, whatever you call that stitch. So we've done that there. Now we've got our 5 stitches here. So we're going to do our 5 stitches along for the border. 1 into the next one is 2, 1 into the next one is 3, 1 into the next one is 4, and one into the top of this stitch here. Just push your hook through that chain stitch. You're going to pull a little bit and you're going to chain 2, slack 1 and 2. Don't make them too tight, and turn your work and work along. So in the chain stitch, you're going to put the double V stitch, and in your double V stitch, you're going to do that chain. And that's what you're going to do with this pattern. You're going to keep repeating it. I'll do one more row and I'll show you how to do the top and the bottom of the border. One into that top of that chain. Make sure you put that in, that one into the top of that chain of 2. And as you can see, it gives you a much neater edge. You're not getting that. When you do a chain 3, you're not getting that bulky one that's sticking out like that. It's nice and straight. So we're going to do 2, chain 1 and 2, quite slack, and turn. Now I'm going to show you how to do the border on the top and the bottom. So we're going to do our, make sure we've got our 5 stitches along. So that counts as 1, and that's 2. That one's 3, that one's 4, and 1 in there is 5. Now what we're going to do here, what we're going to do now is just to make sure we've got the same amount of stitches along the top as we will on the bottom. So into the 2 stitches of your double V stitch, you're going to put 1 stitch into each one, 1 into there, and 1 into there. Skip the chain and put 1 into each of these stitches. That's what you're going to do to build your border along your top. Into here, you're going to put 1 stitch into this chain, put 1, and into the V stitch, 1 in each stitch, here and here. Don't put any in there. So 1 in there and 1 in the next one. I skipped a chain and I put 1 into the next stitch and 1 into the next stitch. 1 in the chain, 1 into this stitch, 1 into the stitch. Skip the chain and the double V stitch and just move over to the 2 stitches. 1 and 1 in there. Put 1 in the chain and then 1 into each of these stitches. Skip the chain of the V stitch and put 1 into each stitch. You can leave the top with the pattern on if you want. You don't have to do the border across the top. So these 5 stitches, you're going to put 1. That's 1 into each stitch. 2, 3, 1 into that stitch is 4. And 1 into that chain, the top of that chain of 2, 1 into there. Chain 2, slack, 1 and 2 and turn. And you're going to put 1 into each stitch along. And because this is quite a stretchy stitch, your top will be nice and straight because we didn't put a stitch in the chain in the V stitch. You're going to put 1 into each stitch along and do as many rows as you want. I did 4. So that one is 1 and then I did 3 more. So I've put 1 stitch in, and remember that chain of 2. So I did 4 rows on my blanket, but that's how you pick up the rows for your bottom and the top. So on this is the top. I'll show you how to do the bottom. Now you'll just cut your yarn and pull it through that loop. Just pretend you've done your great big blanket or the one that you want for your size. And then you're going to turn it around. And this is the bottom. Remember, this is the bottom. So we're going to turn it upside down. And get your hook back. Now where the tail is, just put your hook through. And pull through the yarn. Leave enough of a tail to sew in. And I'm going to chain 2 slack stitches, 1 and 2. Now, in these 4 stitches, put 1 in the bottom of these 4 stitches. So that chain counts as your first stitch. So that's the second one. 1 into the bottom of there is 3. 1 into the bottom of this one. There should be a loop left to use. That's 4. And 1 into the bottom of this one makes 5. In the chain space, you're going to put 2 stitches in the chain space. 1 and 2. You're going to go over to the other chain space. Squash that together. Over to the other chain space and put 2 in. 1 and 2. Into the middle of your little picot stitch, the one that looks round, put 1 in the middle and then go to the chain space. That chain 2 space. This is the bottom of your blanket, so put 2 into that chain space. Just move your double V stitch in and go in to the next chain 2 into the chain spaces and put 2 stitches. Then put 1 into the bottom of that rounded one. It looks rounded now. Then over to the chain space and put 2 in. 1 and 2. Work your way along. The next chain space, forget the double V stitch. Don't put any into the double V stitch. 2 into the chain spaces and 1 into that round picot stitch here, into the bottom of there. Then the chain spaces, 1 and 2. And this should give you the same amount of stitches on the bottom as you've got on the top. So skip the double V stitch and into the chain spaces, 1 and 2. And you've got your 5 stitches along. You'll put 1 into the bottom of each of those. 1 into the next one is 2. 1 into the next one is 3. 1 into the next one is 4. And 1 into the bottom of that chain of 2 there. That's 5. You're going to chain 2 slack stitches, 1 and 2. Turn your work and you're going to put 1 into each stitch along and do 4 rows. That counts as row 1. You're going to do 3 more rows and that'll make your border on the bottom and the top and along the sides the same. So 1 into each stitch. So at the end, remember and put 1 into that chain of 2 that's there. You'll chain 2, 1, 2 and turn. and you'll do another 2. I did 4 rounds, and what that'll do, once your ends are all sewed in, sew in your ends, and you'll have your little blanket. Absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful little pattern as well. It's a stretchy stitch. It's a little bit stretchy. That's why I didn't put one in on the bottom into where the V-stitch was, and that's why I didn't put one into the top where the V-stitch was, because it would go like this. If you did that, it would end up like this on the top and the bottom. You want to keep it nice and gathered in. So I did 4 rows. I did that first one where I picked the stitches up. That's 1, 2, 3 and 4. I did 4 rows on mine, and that's how you do this beautiful custard pie blanket. If you want to support the channel, you can become a member. If you click on the members button that's down here somewhere, you can help support the channel. Or you can support the channel by subscribing to the channel. If you just click on that subscribe button, it's completely free to subscribe to the channel. And if you click on the bell icon, YouTube will tell you when I put up another tutorial. So until the next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.